I was halfway through my coffee when Marcus dropped the bomb. My older brother stood in the doorway of what I'd called home for the past 3 years, arms crossed like he was about to foreclose on a stranger. "You've got 60 days, Jamie." I nearly choked. "What?" "Melissa and I are moving back from Austin. We need the apartment." He said it like he was commenting on the weather, not appending my entire life. "Marcus, come on. I've been paying rent on time, I haven't. It's my property. I can do what I want." He pulled out a folded paper from his jacket. "There's a clause in our agreement. 30 days notice, technically, but I'm giving you 60 because we're family." Family. Right. The same family that let me crash here after my divorce cleaned me out. The same brother who said I could stay as long as I needed. I scanned the document. My stomach dropped. There it was in tiny print, the clause I'd never bothered reading carefully. "There's one more thing," Marcus said, and something in his tone made me look up. "The place needs work before you go. New paint, fix those cabinet hinges, refinish the hardwood in the living room. Melissa has standards." "You're joking." His face said he wasn't. "He can't make you do that." My best friend Derek slammed his beer down at McCarthy's bar that night. "That's insane, man." "Apparently he can." I showed him the lease agreement on my phone. "See that section? Tenant agrees to return property in improved or equal condition. His lawyer says renovation counts as improved." Derek squinted at the screen. "That's the vaguest garbage I've ever read. You could argue anything against that. With what money? I can't afford a lawyer. I can barely afford first and last month's rent somewhere new." I'd spent the afternoon scrolling through apartment listings in Philadelphia. Everything decent was $200 more than I was paying Marcus. Everything affordable looked like a crime scene. My phone buzzed. "Marcus again. Got you a contractor consultation for Saturday. Dad suggested Mike's renovations. I'll cover materials, you handle labor costs. Fair deal. Fair deal." I read it aloud to Derek. "He wants me to pay for labor to improve his investment property. What's your dad say about this?" That was the thing that burned most. Dad thinks I should help family, and leave things better than I found them. Apparently Marcus convinced him I've been living here dirt cheap. "Have you?" "Below market rate, yeah, but I've also fixed the toilet twice, replaced the water heater, and dealt with that rat problem last winter myself." Derek shook his head. "You need to fight this." "But how?" Saturday morning, Mike showed up in a white F-150 with Mike's renovations barely visible under 3 years of dirt. He was shorter than I expected, with paint-stained Carhartt pants and a handshake that could crack walnuts. "Your brother wants the full treatment, huh?" Mike walked through the apartment, tapping walls, inspecting baseboards. Paint, floors, kitchen cabinet reface, maybe new fixtures in the bathroom. Looking at $8,000–9,000 in labor. My heart stopped. $9,000? Could get it down to 7 if you help. You handy at all? I've watched YouTube videos. Mike laughed. "Same as half my crew. Look kid, between you and me, this place doesn't need half what your brother's asking for. These floors are fine, cabinets just need tightening. Someone's padding the wish list." After Mike left, I started really looking at the apartment. He was right. The hardwood had character, not damage. The cabinets were solid oak, just loose from age. I'd been living here 3 years and never noticed Marcus had been neglecting basic maintenance. Then I found it. Behind the water heater I'd replaced, there was a gap in the drywall. I pulled out my phone flashlight and peered in. Mold. Serious mold, black and spreading, probably from a slow leak in the pipes. I took pictures. Lots of pictures. This wasn't about Melissa's standards. Marcus was flipping the apartment, and he needed me to fix his code violations before he could sell. I drove to Marcus's rental house in Fishtown on Sunday. His BMW sat in the driveway next to Melissa's Mercedes, doing real well for themselves while nickel-and-diming their family. Melissa answered the door in yoga pants and a Princeton sweatshirt. "Jamie, Marcus didn't mention you were coming by. Surprise visit." I pushed past her, not rudely, but firmly. Where is he? Back office, but he's on a call. I found him at his desk, laptop open to Zillow. He wasn't even pretending. What's the listing price? I asked. Marcus spun around, had the decency to look caught. Jamie, I'm working. 450? 500. I pulled out my phone, showed him the mold pictures. Because you're going to have a hard time passing inspection with that growing in the walls. His face went pale. Where did you find that? Doesn't matter. What matters is you've known about building issues and you're trying to make me pay to fix your liability before you cash out. That's not. Don't. My voice cracked. I was angrier than I'd been in years. You bought this place for $220 in 2019. You're about to double your money, and you want me to fund the closing costs. Marcus stood up. I gave you a place when you had nothing. You charged me rent. Below market, sure, but you still profited off your baby brother's divorce. And now you're trying to profit again. Get out of my house. Gladly. I headed for the door, then turned back. 60 days, Marcus. But I'm not renovating a damn thing. Derek knew a guy. That's how these things always started. Tony Delgado, Derek said, sliding a business card across the table at our usual booth. Paralegal, works on tenant rights cases. He owes me from when I fixed his Mustang for cost. Tony met me that Wednesday at a Starbucks on Market Street. He was young, maybe 30, with the kind of energy that came from too much espresso and genuine anger at injustice. Your brother's screwing you, Tony said after reviewing my lease and the photos. Pennsylvania law is clear. Landlords can't make tenants pay for improvements that increase property value. Repairs to return to original condition? Maybe. But renovation? No way. Can we stop him? Better. We can flip this. Tony grinned. That mold is a habitability issue. You've been living in substandard conditions. You could actually sue him for the health hazard, demand he compensate you for living with code violations. It felt too good to be true. What's the catch? Family court is messy. Your dad's going to take sides. Thanksgiving's going to be awkward forever. Tony leaned back. You sure you want to burn this bridge? I thought about Marcus's face when he told me to leave. The cold calculation. The way he'd stopped being my brother somewhere along the way and became a landlord who happened to share my DNA. The bridge is already burned, I said. I just want to make sure I'm not the only one who gets scorched. The letter from Tony arrived at Marcus's office on a Friday. By Saturday morning, my phone was exploding. Dad called first. Jamie, what the hell is this about a lawsuit? Ask your golden child about the mold he's been letting me breathe for 3 years. Marcus says you're being vindictive because he needs his property back. This is family business, not court business. He made it court business when he tried to extort $9,000 from me, Dad. Click. My father hung up on me for the first time in my life. Mom called next, crying. Why are you doing this? Can't you boys just work it out? Aunt Linda texted to say I was being selfish. Uncle Rob said Marcus always was a snake, good for me. My cousin posted something vague on Facebook about loyalty that was clearly aimed at me. Only Derek stood firm. Family means not screwing each other over for profit. You're doing the right thing. Then Tuesday came. Tony called, voice tight. Marcus's lawyer called. They want to settle. How much? He'll waive the renovation requirement, give you 90 days to move out instead of 60, and pay for a professional cleaning service when you leave. In exchange, you drop any claims about the mold. That's it? No money. It's something. More than you had yesterday. I sat in my apartment, Marcus's apartment, and looked around. Was it worth it? Burning every family bridge for what amounted to an extra month and a free cleaning service? Then I saw the water stain on the ceiling I'd stopped noticing years ago. The outlet that sparked sometimes. The window that wouldn't lock. No deal, I said. I want compensation. We settled 3 weeks later in a mediator's office in Center City. Marcus wouldn't look at me. His lawyer did all the talking. Final terms, 4 months to move out. Marcus would pay $3,000 for inconvenience and health concerns. All renovation demands dropped. My security deposit returned in full. It wasn't $9,000. It wasn't even half. But it was enough for first month, last month, and a security deposit somewhere new. Somewhere that was actually mine. Marcus signed the papers like they were burning his fingers. As we stood to leave, he finally spoke. "Hope it was worth it, Jamie." "Hope the sale price is everything you dreamed of," I replied. We haven't spoken since. I found a one-bedroom in Manayunk, nothing fancy, but the landlord actually fixes things when they break. Derek helped me move in his pickup truck. Dad didn't call. Mom sent a card that said she loved us both, which somehow felt worse than taking a side. 6 months later, I drove past the old apartment. There was a sold sign out front and new curtains in the windows. Some young couple, probably, excited about their first place in the city. I wondered if they knew about the mold, if Marcus had actually fixed it, or just covered it up with fresh paint. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Melissa. Marcus won't say it, but what you did was right. He knew about the mold." "I'm sorry. I didn't reply." Some apologies come too late to matter. But I saved the message anyway, just in case I ever doubted myself on the quiet nights when family felt like a word I'd lost the meaning of. Home isn't always blood. Sometimes it's just 4 walls that don't make you sick, and a lock that's actually yours.